and welcome to the MT Podcast. I'm fixing my little mic right now. Weird way to start, but hey, this is the show where we cover this week's gaming industry related news. We got a couple of topics we're going to be busting out. We're going to be talking a little bit about some founders at a Seattle studio is going to make Risk for Rain, I believe, joining Valve. There is a new update for Splitgate 2, something I'm excited to talk about. New patch notes going on in the gaming industry. And yeah, Concord update is probably the main headliner. And of course, September new game. So if you want to know what's coming out, just stick to the end. And yeah, we'll fill you in. But before we jump in, Kyle, how you been, dude? What have you been up to? I love the Luke Kuechly jersey. We're Panthers fans over here. We're Carolina
Yes,
boys.
sir. Sir,
So
dude. Get low Greg Olson
yeah,
going. I like it.
I had to put on the
Like it.
Greg Olson jersey,
It's
dude.
good, dude.
I
It's
saw
good.
you like I was wearing my Sentinels shirt, and then I saw you with the Blue Kuechly, and I was like, I guess I'm changing clothes. I mean,
Kickoff week, baby. I don't know. This has
heck
become
yeah,
my tradition every year. Week one. It's like kickoff
yeah,
week. Gotta do it. But yeah,
yeah,
dude.
and drafts.
Yeah, and drafts. Yeah, dude. I don't know. There's not a whole lot for me this week. I feel like kind of on vacay. Just chilling.
Mhm.
Gotta. Think I was able to get a little bit of really trying with Flintlock, Mike. I didn't do story mode yet. All right, really
You got to
trying.
get on it.
I'm really
You got to get
trying,
on it.
man. It's a tough game. And I saw some reviews for it from other people, and they seem to have a great time, no issues. So I guess I just suck. Like that's the only thing I can think of. Um, so really just trying to get better. But yeah, dude. I think gaming wise, that's really the only thing I really touched this week. Not a whole lot. Just kind of ingrained in just the vibes of vacation and
I
sports around
feel
the
that.
corner. So I'm just
Yeah,
kind of basking in it, dude. I don't know. What about you,
I
Mike?
feel that, man.
Saw you streamed a couple times, Mike. Saw it.
Yeah, yeah. I've been streaming. It's kind of nice because it's like Halo 2. People like the word has gotten out more and more amongst like the Halo fans that there's some people that are actually playing on the original Xbox and they're doing competitive series, getting prepared for the tournament on the 20th anniversary of Halo 2. So I've been doing that. I've been getting some viewers. It's been kind of interesting because it's like usually I rock around like 5 to 10 typically. It's like I've seen it hit 20 a couple of times, and it's like okay, I'm not even streaming that long. Like however long a series takes, which is usually anywhere from an hour and a half to maybe 2.5 hours. Just depends on if you're doing best of 5 or best of 11, and if it's a blowout is the big thing.
No.
Uh, yeah, so I've been playing a lot of Halo 2. That's been fun. Trying to get a little bit better at that. Trying to take it. I wouldn't say I'm taking it like super serious. I'm just trying to just improve, like doing what I used to do when I was like really into competitive. Just watching the VODs back. That's one of the reasons why I've been streaming is just rewatch the content, trying to figure out like, oh, I made an error here, I made an error there. Oh, I didn't communicate effectively when I should have. There are other things I could have done to like change the outcome of this game or like that circumstance kind of attitude.
Yeah, I got you.
Just that analysis. And then like keeping track of my own stats and like when I play in the lobbies, just like, okay, well, how did I do against these people compared to these people? Why is that kind of thing? Like, yeah, just trying to get in the mindset of like coaching, analytics, statistics, and just being an overall competitor.
Yeah,
Uh, we'll we'll see how it goes.
yeah.
Outside of that, man, got absolutely destroyed in Counter Strike 2.
Oh,
Got freaking
oh.
diddy bopped. Uh, an article that we're gonna go talk about soon. I mean, last week I played Splitgate, and that was a lot of fun. Splitgate
Gotcha.
2.
Yeah,
Uh,
very fun.
people, I don't know if I talked to. No, I didn't talk about it last week. Actually forgot to mention. I played the beta, and everybody online was complaining about how Splitgate 2 was like too hard because of the portals or something. I
Mm.
don't know what the sentiment was, but they were complaining. They're like, "Oh, this needs to be reduced. They need to put a cooler or a timer on this." It's like, dude, if you think they need to put a timer on this, you should see Splitgate 1.
Yeah.
And
Was the
yeah,
whole it
and
was about context too, right? I'm pretty sure that was like a 1v1, which is very different from kind of a
well, it wasn't
full
a
match.
1v1.
Oh, was it?
I think it was a full match, but the problem is when you get
Oh,
new people that are playing the game and they don't use the portals, then somebody that knows how to use the portals would just completely dominate.
yeah, it's a skill gap, dude.
Uh,
There it is.
yeah, it's a massive skill gap. But if there are multiple people on the map, especially like people on the other team that use their portals, they can block areas of the map using their portals, which changes the dynamic of the game. So it's like I don't know. I think people were just playing maybe a handful of hours. They got bopped because they're used to playing COD, like something they can just pick up that they've been playing forever
No,
and treat it like a traditional arena shooter, but it's not a traditional arena shooter.
right.
Like, sorry,
It's got that
it is
flair,
what it
dude.
is. Yeah, some people can't adopt. I don't think.
Yeah.
but
I mean, yeah.
some people can.
Shame, dude.
I
Yeah.
think it just takes time. That's all. That's all I really think,
Yeah.
and it should be okay.
Yeah. Gotta spend
Yeah.
time with it, dude. Yeah. Good to hear the Halo stuff though. You've always been the analytical type, so I know when you're playing those games, it's like very much like see the
Yeah.
numbers and then go from there, kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty analytical. Was it type A personality and like logical and backgrounds in engineering? So it's like I dive
Yep.
into it big time, and
Yep.
I get trapped in it. I think sometimes. The next Halo Infinite tournament is this weekend, actually.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah.
HCS Salt Lake City, and some of the guys that are actually going and organizing the Las Vegas LAN, they're going to be doing a localized LAN there to
Oh, very cool.
yeah, to try to, like, get people back into it. Not
Right.
back
Yeah.
into it, but just, like, give it a test run, and there's gonna be some OG players. There's gonna be some pro players from HCS that are gonna go over to their house and, like, try to play. It's,
Oh
at
yeah.
least that's the rumor. I can't really confirm or deny. It's like
Yeah.
it's one of those things, like, I saw it once in a chat in Discord 3 weeks ago, so who knows if it's actually gonna happen, but
Yeah.
it'd be cool if it does. I mean, dude, Strongside and Walshy are back. They're playing in the Discord. They're not streaming yet. Give it time, though. I'm sure they will be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. That's the thing. Only a matter of time, I think, before bigger names jump in. But yeah, I mean, it's
Oh
cool to
yeah,
see. I
for
mean,
sure.
try and get some people back on the game. Get people interested again. It's definitely the play. So
Yeah,
hopefully it goes well.
yeah, yeah. Speaking of getting people back in the game, I'm excited to talk about like at the end, the September games
Yeah.
releases
Oh
because
yeah.
we got some that are like that are pretty big that are interesting. Like God of War Ragnarok is releasing to PC this year or this month, so it's like that's like something to look forward to. It's in a handful of weeks.
Yeah.
Just to get somebody back into the game, you know.
It's true. Yeah. God, it's right around the corner. Sure is.
Hmm.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
How about we speaking of right around the corner, how about we get into the first episode?
Yeah. Let's get into some
The
articles here,
the,
shall
the
we?
first article, yeah.
So yeah, dude. We only have like 4 articles this week, but I think it's all kind of solid stuff. So get into it. We're starting off with GeekWire. I don't know if if we've. I'm trying to remember the last time we used a GeekWire article. Read from one, but this
I
comes
think I
from.
think it had to do with tablets actually.
I wouldn't be
Like back.
surprised, man. That sounds like a GeekWire thing. So, but anyways, this is from Thomas Wild over at GeekWire. It says founders at Seattle studio, Hopoo Games, which made Risk of Rain, is going to be joining Valve. A nice little Valve edition, which I find fascinating. I feel like we don't hear too many like studios joining Valve, but original creators of the Risk of Rain video game series are sunsetting both their current project and their studio in order to go work for Bellevue, Washington-based Valve Software. Hopoo Games, headquartered in Seattle, revealed on Monday that its original founders and many other members of its team will now go full time on internal game projects at Valve. As a result, Hopoo Games has ceased production of its current internal project, codenamed Snail, and has shut its doors for the time being. We love making games and will continue to do so for years to come, the company said on X. We're excited to be working side by side with the talented people at Valve, but for now, sleep tight, Hopoo Games. Hopoo was founded in 2012 by Duncan Drummond and Paul Morse, who were then students at the University of Washington. Their debut project, Risk of Rain, is an action game that challenges players to find a way off a hostile alien world before they're overwhelmed by waves of monsters. If the player's character dies, they must start the game over. It's hardcore, dude. It's hardcore. You die, gotta start over. So
That's I love those types of games.
yeah, it's
So
hardcore for
much.
sure. Yeah. Risk of Rain was crowdfunded on Kickstarter, created with the Game Maker engine, debuted in Steam in 2013. It quickly became a sales success with over 3 million copies sold in 2019. A remake, Risk of Rain Returns, was released on PC and Nintendo Switch in 2023. Hopoo went on to create a 2019 sequel, Risk of Rain 2, with the Unity game engine. It subsequently sold the rights to that game to its publisher and partner, Gearbox Entertainment, same ones that Borderlands, in November of
Mhm.
2022, while Hopoo Games retained its independence. Gearbox has since continued development on Risk of Rain 2, multiple expansions, such as recent Seekers of the Storm. Neither Valve nor Hopoo Games have revealed what Hopoo is working on at Valve. Right now, Valve's highest profile internal project is Deadlock, which pits 2 teams of 6 against each other in gameplay, which we talked about previously on the show.
Yeah.
I know that's it could be the next big thing. It's got to get a lot of hype around
But
streamers and people. And
if a lot of people are saying it might be one of the best games to come out in a long time. It's not game of the year, obviously,
oh
but
man,
they're excited.
A lot of hype
Everybody
for
said
sure.
Wukong's game of the year.
Mm, a lot of hype for sure. Anyways, yeah, like I was saying, kind of at the top of this article, Mike, we don't hear too many studios getting sucked up by Valve and kind of
No,
shuttering their doors to work at Valve. But when you get the opportunity, it's like it's Valve, you know.
yeah. At the end of the day, it's like one of the best publishing companies in the world. I
Yeah,
think
it's like
Valve's amazing.
I mean, they make no skips, right? I'll probably eat my
Yeah,
words saying that because someone will probably be able to find a game
100%.
they made that's not that
Yep.
good. But for the most part, man, they're making creative stuff and thinking outside the box. And I mean, it's Valve, dude. Like, so you don't hear much from 'em. When you do, it's generally pretty insane. So
Nice. Very cool.
yeah,
Yeah, it's good news for them. It's a good opportunity, really. And I don't know. Did you play Risk of Rain?
I haven't. I heard. I think really when I heard about Risk of Rain, it was when the second one was out, and a lot of people played it, and
Yeah.
everyone was saying like, "Oh, Risk of Rain 2 is really good." But yeah, it's interesting to see that they went from the Game Maker engine to Unity, so kind of stepping up in engines, which I think is always
Yeah,
good.
stepping up an engine is pretty sick. I mean, it's basically been like kind of lower tier on the quality of engine for a while, but
You know?
it's a fantastic game. It is all the reviews have proven, I
Oh
think.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it sold well, so I mean, yeah, good on
Mm,
them. I mean,
yeah.
it seems like something like a unanimous decision from at least from what we see in the article. So, yeah, dude, it's always good to join a studio like Valve. So, hey, I'm curious what they were working on internally though. They canned that. I'm curious about.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
just ditched it, which is wild.
I feel like that's common though, because it's just it's coming from the state of the games that's been going on the last or the state of the gaming industry that's been happening in the last like 7 months of just all the layoffs and the cancellations, all this other stuff. It's like the
Yeah,
year of layoffs and canceling an inside project that's unannounced. I mean, that kind of makes sense. It's like I feel like everybody's doing that at this point.
yeah. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. So, yeah, it's certainly not a surprise, but well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Kind of what they end up working on. I guess maybe we'll get a follow up at some point, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's kind of just like they got absorbed and they're doing whatever Valve tells them. So
Exactly. Yeah. Hopefully, it's a sign of good things to come.
yeah,
Hopefully.
for
Yeah.
sure. You know what's also good that's coming soon? Like,
Oh yeah. All
mm,
right. So this is basically what I've been excited for, Splitgate 2. A lot of people have been memeing me though, in like the discords. They're like, what's it? You ever watch Mean Girls? Stop trying to make fetch a thing. It's never gonna be a thing. Like
yeah,
that's how I feel talking about Splitgate 2. And honestly, it might be true, but at the same time, I enjoy it. And as long as there's more people playing that than Halo, then I'll probably be playing Splitgate, to be honest. So it's not much of a difference. But this is coming from game developer. I almost said Game Informer. Sorry, RIP. Uh, game developer Chris Carr. He's a news editor. He wrote the he wrote this article this week, and it has to do with 1047 Games founder, the people who created Splitgate, and how they're dealing with the sequel. So if you don't know, the game's already in alpha, and they just had their alpha test not too long ago, and they've been constantly updating social media. I actually sent you a link, Kyle, of their most recent tweet, and it's just whoever's running. You know when admins just run like random social media accounts and they're
yeah,
trolling?
yeah.
Yeah, it's totally worth it. I will actually encourage you while I get started on this article to open up the tweet. I sent it to you
Okay,
in
okay,
Discord DMs.
okay.
It's just silly fun, and I think it's a good tactic. Like there's so many where it might be one of my it's my second favorite gaming related Twitter right now, and my number one being TeamSpeak.
Okay, okay.
TeamSpeak's phenomenal.
What is
So
this?
it's a pickle, I guess. A cucumber or something. Pickle cowboy. And they're like, just hear me out.
Just hear
Like
me
talk
out.
about look at
I
the
love
other
that.
one that I sent you. It's just so
There's another one.
ridiculous. If you don't know, Splitgate's supposed to be an arena shooter with a competitive league, and they did a developer funded league. So that's what that's about. It's like I think that's one of their ex pro players, maybe,
Locked in.
or
It's
yeah,
closer to the Pringle
this
can.
dude. I know people in like Halo that are that close. It's insane.
That's good.
Yeah, for people that listen to audio, I'm showing screenshots of one a pretend photoshopped human character skin, and the other one is a pro player like 2 inches
Yeah.
from the monitor, dialed in. Yeah, it's just fun stuff. But yeah, anyways, I kind of digress a little bit for a couple of minutes there. Let's get into the article. So Chris wrote from game developer, we were just fighting to keep the lights on, and in quotes says the 1047 Games founder on ditching Splitgate to create a scalable sequel. That's one thing I learned for sure. Players always want more. All right. So let's get into it. In many respects, Portal Infused Shooter Splitgate was an irrefutable success. The freemium title surpassed 13 million downloads when it was still in open beta and delivered an all time peak of around 68,000 concurrent players on Steam roughly 3 years ago. As interest in the project surged, developer 1047 Games secured over 100 million in funding via an investment that valued the studio at 1.5 billion. The company openly admitted that Splitgate achieved a level of success that we could not have anticipated and that few indie games are fortunate to reach. That acknowledgement, however, was bundled into a statement that confirmed the studio would no longer be supporting the shooter. So why? It had simply become too successful too quickly. And in quotes, we are, in a way, bailing water while also trying to keep everyone who bought a ticket to board our ship happy, while also trying to turn our boat into a rocket ship, added the company back in 2022. At the time, 1047 Games said it was seeing you soon or see you soon to the title rather than a farewell. They actually made a tweet about it. I wonder if this article is going to mention it. If they don't, I will. Now, the company has returned with Splitgate 2, a full blooded sequel that features a new faction system, 4 versus 4 gameplay, and quite naturally, loads of bloody portals. Speaking to game developer about how 1047 Games will ensure the sequel can go the distance, studio founder, CEO, and Splitgate 2 creative director Ian Prolick, I think.
That's
Uh,
an interesting name.
Prol- yeah, I don't know how to say the last name. Prolix?
It's
Yeah,
like Prowl is what I think. I don't know.
Prowl? Yeah, probably, yeah. Sorry, Ian, but you're the CEO, so my apologies. He says the company is now fully aware that content is king. I like that because remember what my comments were about Splitgate and what the problem was?
Hmm. Yep.
You couldn't actually customize and personalize your character like you could in other games,
Yep.
and I felt like that I never felt like I was immersed in the game. So if they
Right.
could
Yeah.
somehow do that, it's good to see content is king, so we'll see. The tweet that they did make, they were just like, "We'll be back soon. This is not a farewell. This is a see you later," that kind of thing, and then they shut everything down. But the servers were still on.
Yeah.
You can still go play it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So 1047 Games boss hopes Splitgate 2 will still be thriving in a decade. So the boss says, I want Splitgate 2 to be a game that people are playing in 10 years from now, on a much larger scale, of course. I think we had 200,000 concurrent players in Splitgate at our peak. Success to me would be more than that, and more than that in years from now. The CEO feels there wasn't a lot that the studio could have done to sustain the original title because it ran out of runway. We, and in quotes, we didn't have the resources to support Splitgate. We didn't have the tech. Our thought was we're going to have to bump in players. We're going to have to slow and steady growth over time. Is that pump? Yeah, bump in players. Okay, interesting way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he continues on by saying, even if we knew that wasn't going to be the case, there wasn't a whole lot we could have done about it. We were a very tiny team of under 20 people. Sorry. Dang, I didn't know they had that little. 100
Dude.
million of
Yeah.
funding and
It's
20
small.
million. Jeez. So we were just fighting to keep the lights on with Splitgate. Yeah, they're probably stressed out of their mind, dude. I remember
Yeah.
this servers were kind of struggling for a little bit too. To avoid a repeat, the CEO has been obsessing. Well, Ian, sorry, Ian CEO. I don't want to mess up his last name, so I'm just skipping it. I don't know if that's insulting, but yeah. So he has been obsessing over what goes into delivering a world-class live OPS. Was that online?
Live ops experiences. How I read that. But
Oh, live ops. Yeah, live ops experience. Okay. The key he feels is making sure 1047 is ahead of the curve when launch day arrives. They have to be, or we have to be ready technically in terms of the servers, but also we need to be ready from a content perspective and make sure we have plenty of stuff to come. That's a fact. If you're gonna do like
yep.
live service games, you better be
Oh.
dishing
Yep.
out content, bro. I really like their weapon skins too. They're sick. I hope it transfers, please. Transfer over.
Please. Please. Do.
Yeah. Uh, so, game developer asked, about his admission that developing Splitgate was akin to bailing water out of a sinking ship. Elaborating, he explains 1047 Games struggled to convince Splitgate players to stick around for more than a month. That's a fact. Piling more pressure on a team that was already gasping for breath. The interest was there, but players didn't have a reason to properly engage with the shooter. I think that is fair. I didn't know they had a team of 20.
Yeah, that
So,
is very small.
yeah, hopefully, I mean, if yeah, okay, I get it. If you shut the game down, you're like, all right, let's leave the hype where it is, shut it down, add all the content for the last like 2 years. Like
Yeah,
just work on nothing but content because you have a base system that works. That's a good sign.
yeah.
So, yeah. So content is king, he says. That's one thing I learned for sure. Players always want more. I'll put it this way. In Splitgate, we saw players come in and play for around 3 to 4 weeks, and they'd have an amazing time and leave a good review. But after that period, most players would run out of things to do. It took us around 7 months to deliver a new season that had content. The way I'm looking at this time is step one. I need to make sure that Splitgate 2 has enough content. Instead of 3 or 4 weeks being a typical play pattern, I need to extend that, hopefully to 6, 8, 12, 20, 30 weeks. Whatever it is, it needs to be longer. I need that to be longer. He goes on to say that's to give the team more time to develop new content. Then, by the time that number hits, because inevitably it doesn't matter if you have the best game on planet, by the time that happens, we need to have delivered a major content update. I get it. He's work ahead
Yeah,
so that you
exactly.
have deliverables for the next year or however long it takes, half a year. I guess what's 30 weeks? Three times, what is that, 4 months? 4 or 5 months? Six times,
Yeah, yeah. 52's a year,
six
right?
times.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
About
25
half a
south
year.
that 26.
It depends. Yeah. But that gives you time.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
can do it based on seasons.
yeah. I
Just,
mean, that's
that'd be sick.
probably the best approach, to be honest. But
100%. So the CEO goes on to explain the development team is putting a lot of care into how it defines small updates, medium updates, and large updates. He says those varying additions will provide a sense of momentum and notes a small update might be a featured game, while a medium update could be a new map. And then he envisions larger updates as full blown seasons. Nice. But reiterates the team is still figuring out the details. On a technical level, CEO says he is adamant Splitgate 2 must be infinitely more scalable than its forebear, and says 1047 Games now has the personnel to make that happen. And in quotes, he says, once we did that funding for Splitgate, it forced us to think, wow, there's a lot we could do if we could do it all over again. He says that comparing the original to a school project that was pushed beyond its limitations. Wild. Uh, Couple more quotes from him. He says, "We thought, wouldn't it be nice to redo those things? Wouldn't it be nice to redo the code and make it more scalable?" And when I say scalable, I mean scalable both in terms of handling more players, but also in having more people work on it. Our code base in Splitgate was fine for 20 people to work on, but with 170 people, it was very easy to step on each other's toes. So we restructured a lot of the code so that if somebody's working on a gun, for example, they don't break a character.
nice.
That's fair. We thought about the prospect of redoing, let's see, of a redo very early on, but ultimately said that's not a good idea because we're still learning a ton. We've got a big player base. People love this thing. We've got to keep doing this. And he's a believer in you've got to be the student of the game. But just over a year later, we made the decision that it was time to move on. At that point, we felt like we'd made everything we needed to learn to make the game of our dreams. Dude, this is like kind of promising sounding. I like this guy's attitude.
I'm running through a wall for
Uh,
Ian.
yeah, facts, dude. Ian explains to remain a student following the launch of Splitgate 2 in 2025, but explains 1047 now has the ability and foresight to adapt more effectively. He goes on to say, we have a plan, and by the way, the plan is totally bogus and is absolutely going to change, but at least we have an approximate plan that is good on paper. We have the resources to build towards that, but we've structured it in a way so there's not a lot of red tape. He goes on to say and continues, we know the second we launch, we're going to learn a bunch, and that plan is going out the window. That's part of the learning curve. Another part is having content in your back pocket. So if there are fires of any kind, we'll be ahead of schedule instead of always playing catch up. We also have redundancy on the team itself, so if somebody gets hit by a bus, we've got a number 2 in place, dude.
Nice.
Wild thing to say, but I get his sentiment. Couple more things out here to really just wrap up on. So there is outsourcing partners are part of the plan for Splitgate 2. I wonder what that means. Let's get into it. So 1047 Games has already enlisted the help of outsourcing partners who aren't doing much yet, but can provide assistance if or when, or perhaps when, things kick into overdrive. Ian says the structures have been put in place because he's an out and out optimist that feels you need to plan for success. Okay, maybe that's why. He got the right attitude. He's an
Yeah,
optimist.
okay.
Look at him.
Huh.
It's pretty obvious by his quotes, to be honest.
Yeah.
So he asks himself, I think, what will happen in the best case scenario? And his response is, I'm very confident in the game. We've given out outsourcing partners a little bit of everything across art, animation, and audio so that if and when this game takes off, we've already got the contract, we've got the relationship, and now we just crank it out. It's pretty cool. So his sense of optimism extends to the wider game industry when asked how developers can thrive in an environment that seems ready to crush all but the biggest success stories. He suggests adversity is an opportunity for growth. He says, "I think we are a couple of years away from coming out of this situation." And he also says, "There's definitely a hole that has been dug in an overcorrection, but he's still an optimist." And in quote, I think you're going to see a lot of very good games or very cool games being announced. And the last little quote for him, and then I want to get Kyle's reaction to this, is I think we're going to see more hits. The best companies are going to come out of the dark times because they're the ones who face adversity and keep going, just like we have. Those are going to be the ones who learn the most to find a way to win when it's difficult. If they get through this, when things bounce back, they're going to do an amazing job. Look at that. This is the most
Dude.
optimistic article.
Dude. I'm ready to run through a wall for this man. I don't even work for him, you know what I'm saying?
I'm about to apply, man.
Yeah, dude. Listen, yeah, I don't know. It definitely brings some juice into this game and makes me it's good to know that they're thinking. I mean, it seems like planning is at an all-time high for this, and they've learned so much from the first game, and now it's like, okay, how can we like really try and hit the
Yeah.
second one? Which is very
Yeah.
reassuring to hear, I think, especially for people that are into Splitgate and want the second game. I think it's yeah, I think all around it's just good to hear, and I think it was funny about the code base too. Is like, oh, it was manageable with like a smaller team, but we realized pretty quick how unoptimized and just like unorganized it was. So
Yeah.
when we tried to
Now it
scale
makes
it up, it's
sense.
like yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
put some programming practices in there for sure. But yeah, I mean, I think all that makes sense, and it seems like yeah, I think too he has a good understanding of like what it takes, like beyond just the base content of what it takes to actually like have a game like Splitgate maintain relevancy or give it the best chance to, you know? It's like having,
Yeah.
frequent updates and making sure there's content there. Yeah, like I think he at least gets it, which I think is,
Oh, he
missing for,
100%
a
gets it.
lot of
Yeah.
games like this. So, oh, dude, yeah, it makes me optimistic to see kind of how this does. But yeah, he's got the right mindset, I think. So, very optimistic now to see how this game turns out. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think I played the alpha. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't much different than Splitgate 1, but I don't think it needs to be. I think
Yeah,
the concentration that he's talking about is all about the content, and that was my number one gripe. It was just like, okay, you're releasing like every major update had a new string of like skins and stuff like that that you can go buy or like unlock, which was really cool. The unlocking the skins like old school Call of Duty was
yeah,
awesome. And then they had premium skins in the battle pass, and I was like, I bought the battle pass and I played those. The battle pass, like regular skins that you just go out and buy, unlockable skins based on like how many people you kill and like a gun, like doing different objectives. It was really cool. But I never felt like I could customize it like myself, like
right.
there was
Yeah,
never an option to like do something for myself. Maybe if they add in the ability to create your own maps, like it's a Steam game, so it's like it's a PC game. Maybe they can allow PC players to use some type of editing tool. Think of like Halo Forge. That would be
right. Yeah.
sick. Um, yeah, so it just really comes down to like, is there an opportunity to make that happen? Hopefully there is, but yeah, we won't really find out anything more for like another year unless they release a couple more alphas. Hopefully, they have a beta a little bit more polished. But
Yeah, sure.
yeah,
Yeah, seems like there's a long way to go, but again, it's they're starting the planning off early, which is good. Um, yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean, I agree though. I mean, the base of it's there, so I feel like there's just
yes,
not a need to really overhaul much. Um, so yeah. Again, just curious to see more, but it seems like that. If the offers are good, that's a great sign. Um, and
oh
yeah,
yeah,
definitely excited to hear
it's
more. Ian,
it's
man,
gonna be
that's
yeah,
my guy,
he's
dude.
crushing it, dude. It's gonna be all hype, and it's pretty cool because like yeah, Deadlock is gonna be coming out soon-ish, like a new shooter, like spin. It's third person, but hey, it is what it is. There's
Yeah.
also going to be Spectre Divide, whatever Shroud's partner to game
Oh
is.
yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's been playing that like nonstop on Twitch. I know you haven't been on Twitch pretty much since Crazy Miller stopped streaming.
Pretty much, dude.
So
Since the
I've only
boys
been on
out,
because
I was up.
yeah. Honestly, that's how I've been too.
Yeah.
I only started to get back on when I was streaming. I was like, I don't even
Yeah.
have my own stream open anymore. I'm like, screw it. But
Like
yeah,
it.
it's besides the point. It's like I think Splitgate 2 has a really good opportunity and they have a really good like I don't know, a really good base to start from with Splitgate 1 and they
Yeah.
have the right mentality. And I do find it pretty cool how he's concentrating more on the content than he is on this like competitive arena portal shooter that they do like crazy things with like professional players from other games coming in and playing it to go join the league and be casters. Like they're not really even showcasing that. They're just talking about I need more content. I need more maps. I need more skins. I need like guns and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
it's cool.
try and load some of this up in the cannon. So when it started to
Yeah,
fire, we can just fire away.
exactly. Like seasonal updates, dude. Overwatch when winter comes around is one of my favorite games. I love the winter update. It's
Yeah.
so much
No.
fun.
Snow and everything. Yeah, dude. Like stuff like that's
Yeah.
so cool for especially for games like this. It's, I feel like
Yeah.
necessary to a certain extent. So
Yes, sir.
I'm rooting for 1047, dude. Rooting for him.
Yeah. Oh man.
Should we talk about
Alrighty.
the industry, dude? Just a little
We
bit.
should. Let's get into it. A
Oh,
little
the
bit of
industry.
a check in on the pulse. Let's
Yeah.
hear it.
For sure. So, patch notes number 2. This is a game developer article. It's about I think a Gamescom survey. Patch notes number 2. How does the games industry survive beyond 2025? So, game developer ventured to Gamescom in search for answers. We're back. This is again Chris Kerr, Homered game developer. We're back. I mean that in a very literal sense. Just returned from Gamescom 2024, where this rather fatigued editor had a wonderful time catching up with old faces and new. Most of our week was spent fitting between the business areas, doing the Gamescom stuff, typical convention stuff. Outside of the show, the flags were cracking, the bratwursts were sizzling, and the Kolsch was flowing. I probably said that wrong. Sorry, everyone. So yeah, he's nice little setup. But yeah, just continue on. So shows to slap myself in the middle of a market square, bustling in inner loops where sole purpose in life was to prevent me from sleeping. He's really setting this up. So mistakes are opportunities for growth, and rather fortuitously brings me to the subject of this edition of Patch Notes. How can the games industry learn from its own repeating failings to ensure that we don't survive until 2025 but thrive in the years beyond? It's a question I desperately needed the answer to heading to Gamescom. I'd seen the phrase survive to 2025 tossed around on social media, and it seems to imply all the industry needs to do is collectively endure until the turn of the year. At that point, I suppose the chaos of the dominated the news cycle of the 2023, with layoffs, funding woes, and studio closures, will dissipate into the ether. A warm sun will rise on a rejuvenated industry, ushering in a new era of stability and prosperity. Those who remain will breathe a collective sigh of relief, safe in the knowledge that this year things will be different. It seems like optimism bordering on willful disbelief. Many of those I spoke with at the show agreed. There is a sense of the industry too often surrenders itself to a vicious cycle of growth and collapse, perceived as unavoidable. It isn't, but only if we learn. I mean, really learn from our mistakes. To help us do that, I collected realms of advice from industry experts that might hopefully allow us to break the cycle. We can go through some of these, Mike. See what the people in the industry thinks.
Yeah. Let's see how it goes.
The view from the show for long-term survival will demand creative clarity, frequent reality checks, and a slow demise of capitalism. If the question is, what do we do about capitalism, then you're into a very different set of economic, philosophical, and political
Yeah.
issues.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, geez.
This is crazy. He suggests that the industry needs to address the incentivization structures that are currently in place on a commercial level in order to survive. It's a big ask, but at the upside, building incentivization structures is exactly what developers do for a living. What is it we can do to identify where things aren't working and then slowly chip away at those things? If that feels too big, I would say it's about understanding you are at the mercy of those forces, he adds. You cannot ignore them. You cannot ignore the fact you're in a commercial industry. Therefore, you must educate yourself. One has to build commercial literacy among colleagues and coworkers. Okay, I mean,
Yep.
there's some truth to that for sure. Like, you know,
There certainly is.
you know, building literacy means fully engaging with the issues that have smashed the industry like a wrecking ball. Burying our heads in the sand is no longer an option. You can't just say, hey, look, I'm an artist. I'm making art. I've got big ideas. Yeah, that's fantastic. But the image of the game developer as a lone artist is outdated. Okay. If that's what you're doing, you are leaving yourself incredibly vulnerable to these flawed, dysfunctional structures. You have to understand the commercial environment you're working in is part of the problem as much as the creative question of how do I make a person feel this way? Hooded Horse, Chief Product Officer Ashkan Numausi. Sorry, Ashkan. He says that longevity is rooted in sustainable business practices. It's a soundbite we've heard often, mainly when companies are punting thousands of workers out the door in pursuit of sustainable growth. But for Ashkan, a sustainable enterprise is one governed by leaders who aren't overzealous, underprepared, and dancing in the intoxicating tunes of external stakeholders. Oh, we talked about this a little bit on the
Okay.
show.
Yes, sir.
Try not to adhere too much to stakeholders, and we feel like that's often the problem, I think, with some of these games.
Yeah. All about the profit margins, I think.
Sure. It's about always focusing on effectiveness and cost effectiveness and trying not to get carried away with unfettered creativity ambition without reflection and without control, he says. That ambition is constantly fed into by other stakeholders who want a stake in what you do. They always they almost weigh you say what is what is this wording?
Yeah, I don't even understand it here.
Well, so look, they almost say, I need $20 million because they think if you're going to have 40% ROI, so they'd much rather go with that $20 million than $2 million so they can take a bigger share of revenue, they can have a bigger buyout, and they can get the IP, all that jazz. So, I mean, it's, which, makes sense, right? Like, that's where the business gets weird, right? Because they want a certain number, but it's like unrealistic in most cases. So it's just like,
Yeah.
just ends up being a detriment to everything. Focus on being effective and creating new ideas for you and your company. Stay focused on what is the kind of game you're making, what is your target audience. Don't just take any deal that comes your way. Believe in your creative vision and the potential of the game. You also need to have a reality check. What happens if it doesn't find success? Got to think about those times, especially in any business. Like, that you always hear you always hear those like feel good like sayings of like never have a plan B. It's like just do what you want. Don't worry about a plan.
Plan B distracts you from plan A.
Yeah, which in some cases sure, but like also like you just
Not a
have to
good
be
idea.
kind of open to failure, right? If you're gonna take that approach, like you
100%, yeah.
you'll probably fail. Like, but that's not a bad thing. It's just the kind of reality of it. If you don't knock it out of the park and haven't prepared accordingly, the cycle will repeat. Atari CEO Wade Rosen believes it's almost human nature to lean into the perceived inevitability of it all, but feels we can dismantle the wheel by fighting that urge. It's knowing you should stash some cash away on a rainy day and not just immediately plow it back into development or projects and assume that's going to project into the future. It's really looking more to the future than the past and understanding that the past is not the most accurate predictor, especially in the short term past. Ooh,
Okay.
nice little
Speaking
business
facts.
vision. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
It's realizing that when things are good, they're not always going to be good. When they're bad, they're not always going to be bad. And having enough cash in the bank to survive those downturns without having to drastically cut teams, but that also means having the discipline to not drastically increase teams as well, which we talked about, with these layoffs coming around. We've covered a few times on here. Like that's probably part of it, right? Was overhiring just the past couple of years. So yeah, he has a point, dude. Don't overhire because we see stuff like this.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't have to overhire. Just because the economy is good doesn't mean you need to grab everybody. It's like be scalable, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Money is the problem then, or at the very least, how it's perceived and distributed across the industry. Glowmade
Yeah, that
co-founder
part.
Johnny Hopper says we need to be realistic about spending, especially when, as was the case during the pandemic, it feels like
Mhm.
investing massive sums of cash is the golden ticket to exponential growth. Certainly, when you're a small studio, money is terrifying. I think you need to get comfortable with that. Yeah, it's what's happened is we've seen some really big players, and COVID started it because there's a massive demand, send money flooding into the market. Everyone was sat at home playing games, and suddenly there was loads of money and loads of demand. On
Yep.
on Ja Rule, as
Yeah.
they say. You know what I'm saying?
On Ja Rule.
On
I
Ja
was like, "Is
Rule.
he gonna say it?"
Hopper feels we're now in a period of readjustment. Very true. But reiterates we have to learn from the era of flagrant, unadulterated spending and avoid falling back into old habits when the good times come around again. When investors are whispering sweet nothings in your ear, promising you the world and decadent amounts of ROI, it's vital to remember precisely what you set out to achieve. Have clarity about your vision, says Rebellion art director Ryan Green, explaining how to stay in the straight and narrow during production. Know what you want to make, how much time it will take to make, and the person power you'll need to make it. Make the game you can make and not necessarily the game you want to make. It takes a lot to do that, to really distill the soul of your game and then focus on it. Don't get distracted by other stuff. Words to live by? You decide. And then, yeah, you can see there was a bunch of different, I guess, these like follow up articles and other questions, stuff like that. It's I don't know. It's fascinating stuff. I think there's a lot of truth in that, Mike. I think for the most part, and like it's a reminder. I think that especially in the video games industry and like doing all this stuff, like at the end of the day, you're a business, and so there's like certain business kind of rules you have to think about, and there's certain parameters that you still fall within. Like, sure, you can make the game you want to make and do that, but it may not necessarily be the best thing, especially if you're a smaller studio, right? Like you may have to try different things to get to where you want to be in the future. So I think it's
Yeah,
important to
I
remember that.
think it's an interesting concept too. I think the indie devs have more freedom so long as they're not like under some crazy stipulation with like
Right.
publishing companies. But the bigger AAAs that are under a publishing company or like some type of studio, they're kind of more beholden to the shareholders of whatever parent company that they're associated with, which is I think why you're seeing like a lot of studios just go belly up
Right.
because
Yeah.
like shareholders always want to see profits over everything. And sometimes it's like that comes at the cost of people or projects or like innovation even, believe it or not. So it's tough to tell, and that's why I think a lot of people are upset about the late stage capitalism stuff that goes online.
Yeah.
Um, it's it's really hard to tell, but I do think this is a good article written by Chris about just the state of the industry coming from the people that are in the industry themselves and how they feel about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. It really is.
Yeah.
Um,
It's fascinating to hear the wise words of especially like higher ups in the industry who have been in for a
yeah,
while, so they've seen probably
yeah.
100 million different scenarios, and it's just they've kind of seen probably the worst and the best, and so they're like, listen,
Yeah.
got to keep a level head.
One of the things that's just so wild too is it's just like the pandemic was not like an incident that could have been any type of like it was entirely unique for everybody is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever experienced it before, so
Oh
nobody
yeah.
knew how to handle it. Nobody knew how long it was going to last. That's why the money kept flowing in.
Hmm.
So it's just a natural correction because we've been out of it for close to 2 years now.
Yeah. Yeah.
How does this establish like what's going on?
Yeah. True.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's a solid point, right? It's a unique thing in history that last time a pandemic of close to this magnitude happened was probably what bubonic plague. That's like 1800s, like
Uh,
1700s. I don't even know.
Spanish flu in
Spanish
like the
flu. Yeah.
20s, like
Yeah. That's
the teens of the
like
20s, I think it was.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, way before technology is what it is today. So yeah,
yeah,
it was definitely a unique thing, and so it only makes sense that something like this happened because. Like you were saying, man, no one could have predicted it. So we're just kind
hmm
of, we're just kind of like taking it year by year. It's like, all right, and how's this gonna change and
yeah.
all that.
What's the
So
plan now? Did we overexpand? Like, how do
yeah,
we correct? Is there a correction needed? Like, where's the actual industry at? Where the consumers at? Like, has
Yeah,
the attention of consumers changed? Like, there's so many
right.
different thoughts that you have
Yeah, I mean,
to fully grasp
it's
what's going on.
it truly is unprecedented territory, and it's just kind
Yeah.
of something you have to remember, especially seeing all this stuff. So yeah, I agree with
Yes, sir.
these takes, and yeah, it's just we're seeing the correction.
And more to come too.
Oh yeah,
I do like survive till 2022, 2025. Survive beyond 2025. That's funny.
yeah. Gotta try and survive beyond, man. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it'll be a interesting time in the next couple of years in the industry. So,
Oh yeah. You know who didn't survive?
oh, killer transition, dude. I like it. I mean, I hate it for them, but like,
Yeah.
I love it for
It's
us because like, it was a nuts transition. I'm just saying.
I didn't think it was going to happen this quickly. Usually games have a longer
Yeah.
lifespan.
Mm.
So the PlayStation, for those of you that don't know, a lot of people don't know, which is crazy. Concord, the game from Sony PlayStation. Yeah, there's an important update that was released this week. It is wild because the game was officially launched 3 weeks ago, I think,
Yeah.
from the time of this recording.
2.5 maybe. Like
Yeah,
something like that.
maybe. This is coming from the game director himself at Firewalk Studios, but she's Ryan Ellis. Okay. So it's a short and sweet kind of blog post, but yeah, brace yourselves. So Concord fans, we've been listening closely to your feedback since the launch of Concord on PlayStation 5 and PC, and want to thank everyone who has joined the journey aboard the North Star. Your support and the passionate community that has grown around the game has meant the world to us. Sorry, let me zoom in a little bit. The text on this one's kind of small. So, however, while many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game in our initial launch didn't land the way we'd intended. Therefore, at this time, we have decided to take the game offline beginning September 6th, 2024, and explore options, including those that will better reach our players.
Mm.
So, if you missed
Mm.
that, Concord's getting shut down
Yeah.
after 3 weeks. Hot take? You got a hot
You
take
can,
for us,
you can
Kyle?
get you can also get a refund, everybody. They also talked about that.
Yeah, yeah. There's a
I
lot to go with this.
man, I don't know. See this. I mean, because the way it's kind of worded, I feel like the way it's worded is like, look, we're taking the game offline for now. If you want to get a refund, sure, we'll give it to you. But like, we may try and do something in the future, maybe. But like, also like, they're not explicit about that, so it's like kind of just I don't know. I think everyone at this point is just assuming like it's just dead. Like, there's not.
Yeah,
It's just like, yeah, it's dude.
I think they're trying to pull a Splitgate. We'll be back.
2.5 weeks is so crazy, Mike. Like it was. I certainly wasn't expecting this. Like this was
No,
very
I.
soon.
This is really bad. This tells me, like, if they shut it down like this 2.5 weeks, that means they don't have content in the pipeline.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
I
what that tells me.
also just feel bad for Firewalk, man. Like this is just, oh man, it's not it's definitely
It's
not
not
ideal. It was
ideal.
not planned. Yeah, it's man, it's like you just think about this. Like I know we talked about there was a game. I think it was like later last year, earlier. No, it was earlier this year. I think. It was that zombie game. It's like Days Before or something like that was the name of it. We covered it because again, it was like it lasted like a week, I think, and then shut down. So it's just like it's it's another example of a game that unfortunately just failed. But we covered this last week with that PC Gamer article, I believe, where he was talking about like I don't he didn't understand why there was so much criticism about this, and it's not necessarily it's a bad game.
Oh
And
yeah.
I've seen people on Twitter say like, look, like I think there was one person I saw on Twitter, they put like 40 plus hours in it already, and like they were enjoying it and having a good time, and they didn't understand what was going on. And but then when you see a vast majority of like users and critics and stuff like that, they're just like, I mean, what are we doing? Like it just didn't they just didn't hook them.
Yeah.
It's like,
No, it didn't. It really comes down to a mathematical problem. It's like how much money are they bringing in, how much money is leaving,
yeah,
and
and
it must have been a lot leaving for
yeah,
them
I
just to be
mean,
like, no, we're shutting it down.
I even rewatched some of the segment last week that we talked about it because it's like, and to my and like I brought up the point of like, look, it's I think price is a huge issue with this. Like if you're gonna sit there and charge what, 40, $50 for this game when there are
Yeah.
free alternatives that people would probably rather play, it just that is it's a move that does not make sense. And it's just like it's frankly just a stupid move for a game like this because you're just not like
Yeah.
it makes you wonder like what they were thinking with that kind of decision. I mean, granted, like I said, and like I mentioned too, I'm all for it. Like you got to make money, right? And I'm all for that. But unless you have like a solid foundation, and unless you have like something there that people can hook into, but even for a game like this, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense. Like,
No.
putting it at that price point, not making it free. For a game like this, a hero shooter, I mean, yeah, it's almost like what do you expect when you're doing something like
Yeah.
that? So.
I thought what they should do is just refund to everybody and then make it a freemium game and then bring people in.
At this rate, like if they were to re-release it, like you better make it free and then just start finding a way to make money through, content. And
Yeah,
whatnot.
microtransactions and content.
Yeah.
So
It's almost like they don't even want to like worry about the server costs or anything. Like that's literally why they're getting rid of it because it's not even worth it to try and keep it online. Like, oh man,
that's what it feels like. Yeah.
oh
It's so bad, dude. It's so
yeah,
bad. I would be really upset if I was like a diehard fan of this
yeah,
and just excited, but at the same time, just play Overwatch. Sorry,
yeah.
like
I've seen memes too
other
of
options.
I've seen memes. Two people bought hard copies. There was one meme. There was one thing. Someone bought a hard copy of the game and they were like, I won't have time to play it until Saturday, but I can't wait. And that was the whole joke because it's shutting down Friday, so it's like you won't even get to play it. It's like, oh man, it's just yeah,
That's
it's rough, man.
wild.
It's rough. Um,
All right, so if you were one of the people that actually did buy it and you want a refund, the next part's really for you. So the blog post continues on and it says, while we determine the best path ahead, Concord sales will cease immediately and we will begin to offer a full refund for all gamers who have purchased the game for PS5 or PC. If you purchase the game for PlayStation 5 from the PlayStation Store or PlayStation Direct, a refund will be issued back to your original payment method. Customers who purchase from the original, or sorry, for the other digital storefronts will also be refunded. More information about refunds from Steam and Epic can be found below. So for Steam Store will refund players who bought the game over the coming days. Steam will send confirmation of the refund once it has been processed. The Epic Game Store will refund players who bought the game over the coming days and will contact each customer directly to confirm that the refund has been processed. Other retail refunds. So for customers who have purchased a physical copy at a retailer location outside of PlayStation directly, please refer to the refund process of the retailer you purchased it from to obtain your refund. Once refunded, players will no longer have access to the game. We'll keep you updated and thank you to all the free gunners who have joined us on the Concord Galaxy.
mm. it's
Yikes.
it's crazy, dude. Steam Store and Epic, they're just like, look, you bought it. We're just giving you a refund. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We're just gonna give you the refund. You don't have to do anything on your end. Just give you
Yeah,
the refund.
no questions asked. Just you're gonna get it. That's
Yep.
kind of how Steam does that, though.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, come right from the studio. There's like, all right, cool. We'll
Mhm.
refund people like whatever. Um.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Tough.
tough, man. It's very tough. Um. You know. You know. Shout out all the Concord players, bro. If you were playing and having fun, hate this for you. I really do. It's
R.I.P.
like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think it's a lesson learned to any studio out there trying to make a hero shooter when there's a saturated market already. And you don't offer,
And they're
and you have a
free.
model that's not free at the core. It's like, it's just, I don't know, it's just not going to work in this climate. So
No, you're not gonna have a good time.
yeah,
And I don't know. This is a game that would have been amazing probably about 5 years ago. I think.
yeah, I agree.
But that's the problem. Is it's not 5 years ago.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. I
It
mean,
is what it is.
I think part of it is literally they just try to predict the trends, and when they started making this game, they're like, "Oh, hero shooter's still going to be crazy by the time this comes out," and you're a couple years down the line. It's like,
I mean, I'm waiting for the next thing to happen where people get sick of battle royales. I don't know if you're sick of them. I'm personally tired of them. I don't want to play them
I've been
anymore.
tired of them.
Yeah,
Now, I mean, now the new trend Souls likes, and it's like they keep coming out bangers.
yeah.
Who knows if that'll ever like have a down period? But I don't know.
Well, the difference between a Souls like and a what's it called Warzone like battle royale
Yeah,
is is the fact that like a battle royale doesn't have a story or content driven by it.
Right.
A Souls-like game is typically a single player game, and the single player part of it matters because
Mm,
why else would you be going through the difficulty of a Souls-like game
exactly.
unless you cared about the story?
Yeah. And the
So,
mythology milking. You know what I'm
oh yeah, dude,
saying?
give me that, give me all the lore. You know what I mean?
Telling you. Oh yeah, I
Yes,
agree.
sir.
I agree. Ah, Rip
Yeah,
Concord, dude.
buddy.
Salute.
R.I.P.
It's
Concord.
upsetting, dude.
I do think it's funny. You say Concord, and I say
Concord.
Concord.
Yeah, and I don't know. Concord's probably right. I don't know. Yeah, it's probably tomato. I don't know. English is weird.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It just depends on the accent, because it's like if you're up in New Hampshire, or I think there's one in Virginia too. It's Concord, stuff like that.
Um, uh,
But for me, like there's a Concord right outside of
Yeah, that's
Charlotte,
true. Yeah, that's
so
true.
everybody calls it Concord.
I got you.
They
I
don't say
got you. Yeah,
Concord. It's just an accent thing.
yeah, got you.
Yeah. How about we finish up? That was the last real article, but we could finish up with video games releasing this month.
Yeah,
Kind of keep it
let's
under
do
an
it.
hour, or try to. So
Very well, may.
I typically do this if this is your we do this once a month at the beginning of every single month, wherever the episode lies. So if this happened like 3 days ago, 3 or 4 days ago, we probably weren't going to cover it. Hey, whatever. Yeah, so the way we do it is I'll bring up the name and the date and what platform. So we got a couple of them, two games that will be released. Actually, there's technically going to be four games that are going to be released. Shoot. Well, geez, we have like seven games that are going to be released by Friday.
Oh
Um,
gosh,
so
big
to
day.
get it started, we have Harry Potter Quidditch Champions. That's September 3rd. It's on all platforms except for the Nintendo Switch. I mean, if you're into Quidditch, I mean, we saw a couple of things about that. It looks interesting. It's already out. Go check out some Steams. Go check out what's it called? Twitch, YouTube videos.
Yep.
Any your favorite streamers, check those out and see how it plays. Another game that I actually forgot about, I'm kind of embarrassed, is the casting of Frank Stone. Do you remember that? It was a game that you were actually interested in.
Now I'm even
Frank
more
Stone,
embarrassed.
I believe it was like a platform scroller. I hope I'm not mixing this up with something else. It was like a wild game. Uh, 2024 interactive drama horror game developed by
Oh, dude.
Supermassive Games and published by Behavioral Interactive. The game is set in Dead by Daylight universe and was released to PlayStation
Hmm.
5, Windows, Xbox Series X and S on September 3rd. It currently has mixed reviews from
I
critics.
was to say I
So,
did a quick Google and it was like in the
yeah.
middle. So I don't
Eh,
know.
it's all right. I mean, most games are in the middle nowadays. Not everybody can be a game-winning game of the year. So,
Spit
um,
facts.
a couple of days after is The Age of Mythology Retold. That's on the PC and Xbox Series X and S, September 4th. A couple days later, there are three games coming out. Three of them that definitely two you probably have heard of. So the first one is Astrobot is coming out on PS5. The other one is, I mean, pretty much everybody knows about it, is NBA 2K25. That's on all platforms, including the PS4 and Xbox One. Pretty cool.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it needs no introduction at all. You also have Ace Attorney Investigations Collection, so big trilogy kind of
Maybe.
game group. Yeah, all platforms as well, also on PS4 and the Xbox One. A couple of days later, I actually saw a couple of streamers playing the beta, and it looks good. So pretty cool for the Warhammer fans out there.
Yeah.
Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, 40K. So
Hmm.
it's on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Have you ever played Warhammer before?
I haven't, but I mean, it seems like there's a new game every year for Warhammer. I think
Yeah,
it's
they're like new content too. Is like a new game.
yeah,
It's crazy.
and I think it is worth noting though. I've heard good things about this one, so
It looks good.
yeah,
It looks good.
it
The
does.
last one I played, it was on Game Pass as well. It was really good. So
Looks
this
good.
might be on Game Pass, possibly. Not sure. Then you have I don't even know what this is to be
Lollipop
honest, but it's on the list.
Chainsaw. Talking about that.
Lollipop Chain Pop Repop. Uh,
Lollipop Chainsaw. That's a old IP. That's like I think it was on 360 when it debuted, but yeah, it's an old
Interesting.
IP.
Man, I never
And they're
played it.
kind of
Another,
repopping.
yeah, that's actually pretty clever. I like it. That's on all platforms, all new gen platforms. So when I say new gen, I mean PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. and the Switch. So another game is Test Drive Ultimate Solar Crown. So if you're familiar with Test Drive, you already know what it is basically. That is September 12th. That's on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. A couple of days later, that's September 12th, by the way. Both of those are September 12th. The next one, 5 days later, September 17th, is Final Fantasy. Is that six? Is that
It's
Roman numeral?
16, yeah. 16. Got the X
Sheesh,
before the 6.
16.
16, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so this is on
Getting the PC
the
release.
PC.
I'm pretty sure
Yes,
it was already
sir.
out. Yeah, it's the PC release. So,
Yeah, it's on the
um,
horizon. We're here. Uh, couple, a handful coming all at you too. Was this three on the same day, September 19th? You got Dead Rising Deluxe remastered. You have Eno Tria, the last song. You have God of War Ragnarok. So the PC port for God of War Ragnarok, Dead Rising Deluxe remasters on all new gen hardware, including the PC, but excluding the Switch. And you got Eno Tria. I actually do not know what that is.
I
Kind
don't
of,
know either. I'll be honest.
yeah. Well, big heavy hitter on September 20th is Frostpunk 2. That's on PC.
Pretty sure the Game
And
Pass one too. So,
yep. And new generation except for the Switch is coming out next year. That's should be a good game.
oh yeah.
A
I'm expecting
lot
it.
of hype around that game. A lot of excitement.
Nope.
We also have Zoocosis coming out 3 days after Frostpunk 2, September 23rd, and that's on PC. Sorry, I had a cough
Ooh,
right there. Gotta mute the mic. So you have Epic Mini Rebrushed is going to be on September 24th. That's on all platforms, including old gen hardware.
Epic Mickey,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah. Epic Mickey Rebrushed. Something that I'm kind of interested for, at least to check out, is Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. I don't need to tell you what platform that's on,
You already
but
know.
it is coming out September 26th. It looks promising. It looks good. It looks like a good time.
It's coming on the
Y-
PlayStation. I'm just kidding.
Yes, sir. That is the one I believe where you got Zelda as the main
I think
character.
you play Zelda, yeah.
Yeah, let me double check because sometimes I mix them
Pretty
up.
sure it
You've been
is. If I
they've
remember
been busting
correctly.
out a lot of Zelda games recently. And yeah, it's similar to Link's Awakening, which is pretty sick. Yeah. There's a lot of reviews online and it's pretty sick.
Yeah.
So check it out if you're interested in that. Couple things to finish off. Pretty quick and easy. You got EA Sports FC 2025. This is the first one outside the FIFA universe, isn't it?
I
Or
think
did they do that last
so.
year?
I'm trying to remember. I think it
Yeah.
was this year. I don't know.
I think I stopped playing them so long ago. I just remember
Same.
seeing that the the professional like sports and leagues I've been watching, they don't have FIFA like advertising on their
Jeez.
refs anymore.
Yeah.
They have EA Sports FC. So that's on all platforms, as you know, September 27th, end of the month. And then the very last game, last big game for this month at least, is Starfield
Cute.
Shattered Space, PC, Xbox Series X and S, September
DLC
30th.
baby. DLC
DLC.
release. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
probably be playing
About
that for
time, I think.
sure.
Yeah. A lot
Sure.
of people were excited and looking forward to it. But yeah, brother, that's pretty much all I got for you.
All I got too,
And
dude.
yeah. Oh, wipe it
Clean
clean.
hands. Clean hands, baby. Yeah, no, it's
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Good talks, dude. I'm excited for games this month. Check some of these out.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be a good month for games. I think we're gonna see some interesting reviews on a handful of those.
Yeah.
I kind of just want to go check out Harry Potter like right now, the moment we get done recording, just to see how it is. Because if that's
Yeah.
like a fun game to play with like a handful of people, maybe like
Yeah.
6 3v3, get kind of competitive.
For sure, yeah. Dude, it's
Just
Quidditch, dude. The Quidditch game is here, Mike. It's
we
here,
out here,
Mike.
brother. We are out here. Yeah, so that's pretty much all we got for this week. It's pretty short and steady. I appreciate Kyle over here. He wanted to help me out, do a little bit of a short episode, try to keep it under an hour. We're over it, but I mean,
I know.
try to keep it under an hour so
Yeah.
that I can go do some fantasy football draft.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you
appreciate you, dude.
gotta get out of here, dude. We gotta let the
Yes,
people
sir.
go.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap up real quick. For those of you that are new, hopefully you're not. Typical situation. All the timestamps are below in the description below. We also have tiny URL links that will link you to the articles that we covered, so you can read them yourself, show appreciation. Some of these articles, I think so. I don't want to Usually they have a comment section, and they're always fun to read.
Yeah.
I always like going down there and seeing what other people are thinking. Yeah, but go check out all the other publishers and like what they got to say. Yeah, that's all I really got. Oh yeah, social media links, of course. But without further ado, if you don't have anything to say, Kyle, we'll do the closeout.
Nah, dude. NFL week 1, baby. Maybe
Yes,
we'll be
sir.
okay this year, dude. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. We're dead last in the power rankings, bro.
Man, that's like Fox, dude. I don't care about
Yeah.
those clowns. You know what I'm saying?
We'll find out. We'll find out. I don't know. We'll see. I just need to see something better than I've seen in the past.
You're telling me.
I
You're
just
telling
want
me.
improvements, bro.
You're
That's all I
telling
really
me.
want.
Tell me. Same.
Alrighty. Well, we'll let you guys go. Thank you very much for tuning in. Again, everything you need is below in the description. Check it out. If you're watching on video, we appreciate you too. Yeah, it's always good to do a little bit of a different content. And yeah, go Panthers. We'll see you next week. Have a good one. Adios.
Go Panthers.
Peace
Keep
out.
pounding. Bye.